Hey everybody, Howard Jacobson here with WellStart Health, Sick to Fit, Plant Yourself, and I'm joined by the Mergoddess, Sarah Bofinger. How's it going?
Woo! Great. How are you doing?
Good. So you promised me you had something fun to talk about today, and I don't want to know in advance what it is, so I will be surprised along with everyone else. What's on your mind?
All right. Well, last week we talked about being in the present moment, what that was doing for me. And so today I just wanted to share like what, manifested from that and what I learned in the process from it. Right.
Okay.
So
So
basically,
let's recap a
yeah.
little bit for people
Okay.
who are not tuning in religiously.
Yes.
Whatever's wrong with them,
I
I
know.
couldn't say. Um, but you've been heading towards a goal that you kind of self-defined and then defined your life by for a long time. I'll just kind of share for like 30 seconds what that is so people know, have a little context.
So I've been training for the 2020 Olympics, and in that, I've learned a lot about myself, what it is that I want to share, and also give back to the world.
Okay, great. And then you went out to California to swim,
Yes,
and you came back with four medals that were gold.
they were, yes. And
Uh,
then I also like have decided to do, a different path where that's it's the Paralympic Games, and it may by me like actually accepting what I have gone through as someone that's had hip dysplasia, instead of like trying to like push it behind me. Now I'm looking at as to embrace myself and embrace others, and maybe I can inspire more people that way, because ultimately that's what the whole goal is, to inspire people to do better than they were yesterday. And so however my goal or plan fits into all that, is what I'm learning and what's kind of transpiring. So
all right. And I love whenever I hear hip dysplasia, I just think of like, where the heck did I put that hip? You know?
or like a lot of people think of a golden retriever, and how
Yeah.
like as the golden retriever's older, they're having this like hip thing go on. But like now it's like you can look at hip dysplasia and be like, oh my gosh, a mermaid, like maybe that's what
Uh-huh.
I can now, portray as, like, it doesn't have to be this like weird thing. It can be something that you can overcome it, but also get an opportunity to embrace it, and and help others, that maybe there's people out there that have hip dysplasia and they didn't want to come clean with it, right? They
Mm.
didn't want to embrace it, to say, hey, like, I'm not a dog, but like,
Right. Instead of the
it happened.
Instead of the Betty Ford Clinic, we got the Sarah Bofinger Hip Dysplasia Clinic, where people can own their dysplasia. It's it's
Exactly.
funny. A long time ago, I read a Kurt Vonnegut novel called Galapagos, and the idea was like there was just like this one group of people. I think they were taking a tour of the Galapagos Islands, and then like the nuclear holocaust happens, and they're the only ones who survive, but they kind of get irradiated, and then like the next generation is born with all these things that we would have thought of as birth defects, but they turn out to be like highly adaptive. Like one of them has like fur and fins, and like maybe hip dysplasia, like we need to turn into mermaids.
Yeah, exactly. Because you don't, like, as a mermaid, like, your legs are glued together. You don't really need to walk per se. Like, you're naturally can swim with
Mhm.
it. The only reason I had surgery was so that I could walk, So it was like, if I just lived in the water, been good.
Yeah, and with global warming and rising sea levels, maybe you've
Maybe
got.
that's a thing.
Yeah. All right. So bring us up to date. Where are we today?
Okay, so basically, like last week, I sat down with my coach on the phone, and I learned about where I am in the Paralympic world, as far as like, I'm like top 25 in one race, but I'm number one in the US, right? So it's like, whoa, like I could be like top 100 in the US, but then like adding this dysplasia, or this classification you call it, now all of a sudden I'm number one, right? So I look at those and I see like what races I want to do. And so then my coach and I, like, we set a plan. We set like a 3-month, like, what races I'm going to do. These are things that I've never really done. I've just kind of been like, okay, I want to do this race and I'm going to do this training. And, you know, I just kind of have always gone with the flow, but like, it was exciting to have a plan and like really like look at, you know, what that looked like. So, you know, Friday I had a massage and a rest. You know, your friend Laura comes over and she gives me a massage. She's amazing, by the way. So when you're in town here, you have to get her. 'Cause
say her name and give her a plug so people can find her.
Laura Marks, and she is in the D.C., Maryland, like Virginia area, so she can come to you, or she does have a space in Silver Spring, and she's amazing because it allows tension not only in my body, but, you know, also just like other like mental things that, you know, like maybe need to be cleared out. And so it's like a whole like transformative experience that I would say. So basically Friday I gathered information, had this whole experience. Saturday I was ready to work. So I went in, I did weight training for 20 minutes. I did an hour spin. I swam 3 miles. And I did like a 60-minute Pilates class, right? So that was like a whole lot of training because I was really, really excited. So the next day, my coach was like, okay, we'll plan a swim. Monday, you can rest or kind of do whatever. And so Saturday night, like, one of my friends from spin class was like, hey, do you have a bike? And so I have been not on a road bike for like 2 years. I've been like afraid of, you know, traveling on my own and all these things. And I've really been into like letting go of fear. And I wanted to like experience being on the bike again, you know, and all these things. So he was like, yeah, we can meet up like Monday for, you know, just a 3-hour ride or, you know, whatever. So I was really excited about that. Sunday, you know, I did a 90-minute Pilates class, probably did, you know, it was a lot, and so I didn't get to swim. Monday comes around, you know, my friend's like, yeah, we'll just do like the 40 miles. Basically, we ended up doing 60 miles, haven't been on a bike in 2 years, so 60 miles, lots of hills. And I got a lot of signs that I should really just focus on my task at hand, which was the workouts that, you know, my coach gave me. But I was like, oh, you know, I'm really excited to test like my strength here. And so I had to conquer riding in the road. Like, there were things that weren't clear, and it wasn't really my hell yes, but I went along with it anyway. And I'm sure a lot of us can compare. Like, I'm so excited, right? Like, I haven't been on a bike. I really wanted to break my fear, you know. So then after like 37.5 miles, we end up in D.C., which you visited, during a Nats game. So now, like, I'm not only in the road, I'm in traffic. I'm like literally like a little afraid, right? All of a sudden, I'm coming down. There's cars on the right. I'm on the sidewalk. This guy isn't paying attention, opens the door, literally run into the car door, fly off the, you know, onto the pavement. And I'm like screaming, but like letting out like all this like fear energy and like literally looking at myself like, okay, like I created this, because there's been different phases of my journey where I'm accepting that I create my reality. But then it's like you're looking at everything as a mirror, and it's like, okay, like nobody did this, you know. So people are like, should I call 911? Like, da-da-da. People are like, you could have got money for this. These aren't things I'm thinking. I'm thinking about, Sarah, you created this. One, you know, you shouldn't have been out here because it wasn't clear about how many miles. Now, like, you know, you have this little scrape. Like, I had to take off today to make sure that I'm healed. You know, but basically the point was I was so excited to, like, jump in this, like, fear opportunity that I didn't even, like, stop to think, like, maybe I don't need to be, like, testing all these fear experiences, like, in the middle of, you know, my training, per se. Because it's, like, choose your focus. And even in California, like, there's times when, you know, there's so many things that come in and you want to do them all. And then it's, like, and all of a sudden, like, you run into a door, literally, and you're like, what do I do, you know? And so I'm really grateful.
I love the metaphor of, like, the door, because like the door is a metaphor for a new opportunity.
Exactly. So the time that I'm like, I'm a little delirious. The people, they were getting out of an Uber. The guy didn't look, boom, there I am. I'm looking at the person in front of me, like the guy that we're following, because I have no idea where I'm going. I'm just like, I just want to get back. Like my legs are tired. I'm like, I probably need some more food. Nuts for a couple hours is not, enough. Like I've basically physically gotten to a point where I was done. But like then I hop back on the bike after that and ride 20 more miles. And it was like for me it was like, whoa, like I'm really strong, And the other thing too was like I noticed my cut was different from being plant-based. It's like I'm already like healed, like I've been using like oils and drinking tea and like all these things, And it's just fascinating. Like I haven't had this experience on a plant-based diet, and I'm like, okay, am I like super strong because of this? Even my blood looks different, So it was like really interesting, enlightening, and exciting at the same time. Like, I mean, imagine like just going, like not even having any fear, and you just hit this car door, and you're like, oh my gosh, like I wasn't even afraid. Like I didn't even like hesitate. I was just like, let's just go right in. Yes, like I was like, there were so many things that telling me to like not go out that day. Like there were just so many signs, but it was like I needed to experience that.
Yeah. I hope you tipped the Uber driver.
Right? Yeah. Like, thanks, guy. This was great. Oh.
So I mean, that's so interesting that we don't know whether that was the right lesson or not. Like part of the lesson was focus, listen to yourself, and don't do dumb things. And part of the lesson was, because you did, now you've gotten this really important lesson that's going to help. It's like there's no. It's almost like there's no mistakes possible. It's simply are you going to learn from them?
Exactly. And then it's like, well, maybe like, so then it's like also looking at like other people that maybe like, they get a lesson, right? And maybe they're not ready to learn from it or maybe make the change from it. And so then it was like so clear to me, like maybe people aren't ready, and that's why they don't want to change until something literally hits them in the face. And then they're like, oh my gosh, I should change now with disease, with like an injury, like we always have to have something like just to shake us, like, and with my experience, like I've just found that it like, I get like really like clear when these things happen, it's like, oh, shoot, okay, like, all right, yes, I can ride the bike. I haven't ridden the bike ever more than 30 miles. So one, I was able to double by not practicing. So I could do a half Eagle Man bike ride because it's only 56 miles, But then it was like, am I cycling in the Olympics? No. Did I really need to prove that to myself? No. But like maybe I did at the same time because it was like, whoa, I'm really strong. And like what happens when I put this will into the practices and things that I'm doing and not get sidetracked with, things that come up just because they're, coming up.
Yeah. Yeah. So Ron has this business idea for you for Mergoddess e-ticket bike tours for people who need to face their fears head on.
Yeah, just follow me into DC and just manifest, in your thought. Maybe an Uber will come and they will need to get out to the Nats game.
Yeah, and Josh Turner says, I know this firsthand. I had to almost die twice to learn this. So Josh, we got to get your story up here too.
Yes.
Hear that one. Do you know Josh?
No, I don't. I just see him on the but I know that he's not related, but I mean friends with Josh LaJohny, so he must be cool people.
Yeah, I think they were like toddler friends. I think like beating people up and getting beat up in diapers. So great,
wow.
Amazing pedigree.
Nice.
Yeah, and you know, as this relates to, so this was kind of a big story of not sure what to do something and then getting a lesson from it, but we can apply this to just people's everyday like food choices, you know, getting up or not getting up, staying up late or going to bed on time. Like every people get really caught up in the like I was good today or I was bad today, like really thinking like we know what the right thing to do is. And the right thing to do is to learn from whatever we've just done.
Exactly. Yeah, and I mean, I had to surrender that, maybe the plan, I didn't allow the plan to go as I thought, but the plan is as it is, and I learned something from it. So as long as I'm learning and expanding from that, I'm going to grow. There's no way. It's just that the way that I personally needed to learn that lesson was through this way, but maybe someone else has to learn a lesson through a different way, but it's all relative the same, because either we're going to learn the lesson without the harsh lesson, or we're going to learn it in a different way. That's the whole point of us being here, to learn and share. And I was like, oh, now I can create a blog post out of this, or something like, okay, it really excited me. It was the weirdest thing. Like, I was like on the way back, like so hurt, laughing at myself, like this was so silly, but like other people thought I like died, and I was just like, okay, I'm pretty strong. I felt like an ox that just like was like boom, and then just like got up and was like, I'm good, man, I'm good. Like,
You're spending too much time on social media when you're thinking of the headline while you're still flying through the air.
Exactly. Like, how can this be a lesson for someone else? It's like, I mean, that's how I look at it, because I mean, my purpose is to help people. So it's like, now if I can just look at what I'm doing in my life, learn from it, and also help someone else, maybe help them shortcut it. Maybe they wanted to go out on a bike ride, and maybe now they'll, like, their leader, they'll say, okay, what exactly are we doing? How many miles is this? What's the time frame? Like, I surrendered to all of that. I literally gave away my power to just say, I'm going on a bike ride. And this could also relate to like somebody going to a family get together, right? And they're doing this plant-based thing. They're in the Well Start program, but all of a sudden the family is like, hey, like, this is what we're eating. And they just chose to make a choice. And now they have to go back and say, well, this was the choice I made, and maybe they feel bad about it, but instead of feeling bad about it, it was like, again, I had a choice. Like, I made the choice. Like, I physically allowed myself to create that, and I'm taking full responsibility. I'm not suing anyone. This had nothing to do with anyone but my own experience and what I did. And it was just so clear to me that, that was just how it had to happen. It was really cool. Like, I felt like I was on my own roller coaster ride. Like, boom, like, I can't, like, it's just like, it's great, because also, like, being someone that had hip dysplasia, like, I didn't really get to fall and stuff. Like, my mom was constantly like looking around, like, are you okay? Are you okay? So, like, imagine, like, I've never really experienced like a good fall, So also, like, it just allowed like a lot of fear to just leave me. Like, it was like, all right, I'm cool. I'm not afraid of anything now.
Yeah, and that reminds me of when people start, changing their lifestyles and diets. People we see in Well Start will do really well for a couple of weeks, and then the longer they do well, the more nervous they get. Right, like the stakes are higher, and like, oh, I hope I don't screw up. Please let me not screw up. And there is something so liberating about screwing up and then saying, oh, that didn't stop me. Like, I remember, I don't know if you know this, but I taught many people how to ride the unicycle.
Oh.
And including both of my kids. I can't actually ride, but I can teach. And the thing that I would show people that would help them the most is so that, the thing about a unicycle is that your weight is on the seat, and then if your weight is also on the pedals, if like on a bicycle, you like imagine on a bicycle, your weight is basically on the pedals a lot. And this,
Mm-hmm.
and right, professional cyclists don't actually use the seat much at all, right? But if you do that on the unicycle, you can't move
Hmm.
because if your weight is equally on each foot, you can't go backwards and forwards. You're sort of like they're using a lot of tension to just stay in place. And when you try to move, you let go of one of the like let's say let go of the pressure on the back foot, the front foot slams down, and you go forward, pitching forward, and you lose your balance.
Oh shoot.
So like there's no way around this part of it. And so what I would have people do is practice falling. Because like a bicycle, you can basically fall like in like left or right, or you can go over the handlebars. Those are the only options for a bicycle. On a unicycle, you've got 360 degrees of calamity.
Oh,
You could fall anywhere. And
oh
so
shoot.
to get them okay with falling off, because when you fall off a bicycle, you can hurt yourself. When you fall off a unicycle, you're just standing up, right? Nothing bad happens. It's like, whoop,
Yeah.
there it goes. You might like bump your ankle with the seat, but basically you're fine. But until people experience that and realize it, they can't loosen up. So there's something very blessed about surviving something that has been like this low grade terror, which I'm sure
Yeah.
you must have had. Like,
I
can I
did.
survive
Yeah.
this?
Totally. And it was just like, I mean, it was just, it was, the feeling was just, I mean, like you said, like liberating. Like, it was just like, oh my gosh, like nothing like, cause it was like, I didn't even think like, oh, I'm going to die. Like, that wasn't even like, my thought was like, oh, here's a car door opening and I can't stop. Boom. My water bottle basically hit like that was like the most destruction. My bike didn't really get hit. I didn't, it was just like, okay, my little water bottle was just like, oh, I got a little beat up. I'll just put some extra stickers on it.
See, that's back to the mermaid thing, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
The water, always back to the
Yeah.
water.
Always back to the water. And then I was like, now I can really stay in the water. Like, I'm good. Like, I know I could ride my bike. I had a really great time. I was stronger than I've ever imagined on the bike. And it's like, now I can let that go. Like, I don't need to do that. It was like, cool. Okay, great. I know how to do it.
Awesome. Well, this was a great story.
Yeah, I knew it would be. I was like, yeah, while I'm recuperating, any way to help.
Well, thank you for taking the time and for sharing that experience and for helping everyone contextualize our own mistakes, our own into endless opportunities for learning.
Exactly, embracing that. And then when you're ready to embrace it, you can sign up for Well Start, get,
Yeah.
your all your tools. So then you're really gonna, because I did like so many Well Start tools in that moment that I didn't even know, like it didn't even think, I wasn't able to like personally think about it. It was just already intuitive. So it was just like, boom, like, okay, I'm good, and then it just siphoned out. So
Well, I bet one of the things was a physical relaxation.
yeah.
Right? Like if you can, I can't remember where I read this, but like drunk people do very well in car crashes. Right? Because they're just too relaxed to like they tend not to like get whiplash and stuff like that because they're like, yeah, cool. But I'm not suggesting.
No.
But also, like the martial art that I do, it's so heavily based on relaxation in the face of stress and fear and fright that a lot of people who do it like will say like I was in a car accident or I slipped on the ice and I just instinctively went into something that was protective of my organism.
Hmm.
And so I'm imagining that was at least part of it, like assessing the situation instantly and overriding whatever habitual tightening might have been in your body.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it was just a natural instinct because by working with the tools and using them, each moment, and then just it's all of a sudden it's like I mastered it. I was able to master a fall and just do like a quick little yell to let it out, that it was good.
Right.
Not gonna say there won't be tears or screaming or sometimes we have to release things differently, right? But as long as we get it out, good to go. But the tools are important.
All right. So Ron sees a triathlon in your future.
Well, I used to do many of them. That's the last time I did a triathlon was in 2017 when I used my bike. So.
Oh, okay. So Ron, you're looking in the mirror. You're seeing it in her past.
Yes.
Josh Turner wants to know, is that a pull-up bar back there?
It is, yes. So I do pull-ups, I have all equipment. Like if you, like on this corner, there's yoga mats and parallel bars and there's medicine balls and, there's never a time that if I can't get to a gym, there's something going on in the home. So
Nice.
I recommend pull-up bar in your kitchen. That way you pass it, you want to cook something, just do a couple pull-ups,
I built a pull-up bar in my backyard, and I'm hoping one day to graduate to make it a pull-ups bar.
Oh, so right now it's just one pull-up?
I can do a bunch when I cheat, and I don't go all the way down, but like hanging all the way down, I'm still not engaging the back yet. So I spend a lot of time like just working that, and I can do one, but it takes it all out of me.
So one recommendation is if you jump and hold yourself and then lower down slowly, you're working these negative muscles and that'll build you to do a regular pull-up. The other thing is I use these things called a rubber bandits. It's these pull-up bar or pull-up straps. And you get ones that like maybe they add 25 pounds or, whatever to help assist you. So then you can start doing many more pull-ups and then transitioning without it.
All right. What do they called again?
Rubber bandits.
Rubber bandits. Okay.
Pull-up straps.
Pull-up straps. All right.
Cool.
I'll go do it.
Nice.
All right. Well, Sarah, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Always a pleasure to chat.
Yes. See you next week.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.